You ever have those mornings where you walk into the shop, flip the lights, and just realize you're living in a science fiction novel? I was looking at a set of blueprints this morning, actual paper ones, and I felt like I was holding a stone tablet.
Well, considering you still use a flip phone half the time, Tiger, I'm surprised you aren't carving those blueprints into the drywall with a chisel.
Hey now, that flip phone is drop proof. But seriously, we're looking at the 2026 landscape today, and it is moving at a clip that makes my head spin. We've got AI taking over the drafting table, welding research that sounds like it belongs on a space station, and the weird reality that being a good woodworker today means being a halfway decent filmmaker too.
It's a lot to juggle, but honestly, if the tech can take the boring stuff off our plates, I'm all for it. I mean, you've spent how many years complaining about the geometry tax of custom fabrication?
My whole life. Look, anyone who's ever had to quote a job knows the pain. You spend 3 hours modeling a beautiful 3D assembly, and then you realize you've got to spend another 6 hours making 2D drawings so the guy on the water jet knows what the heck he's looking at. It's a repetitive, soul-sucking slog. But have you seen this draft date stuff?
Is that the AI that turns the 3D models into production drawings? It sounds a little too good to be true. Does it actually get the tolerances right, or does it just guess?
It's surprisingly sharp. It's like having a very fast, very quiet intern who doesn't drink all your coffee. It handles the annotations and the dimensioning automatically. Instead of me sitting there clicking lines until my eyes cross, the AI looks at the model and spits out a production-ready blueprint. It's going to shave days off the quoting process for small shops. It lets you get back to the actual making, which, let's be honest, is the only reason we're in this business.
Okay, I'll give you that one. But what about Mastercam Copilot? I saw you playing with the voice commands earlier. You looked like you were trying to talk to a ghost.
I felt like I was in Star Trek. I'm standing there by the mill, and instead of digging through submenus with greasy fingers to change the feed rate, I just said, hey, back off the spindle speed by 10%. And it just did it.
Did it actually understand your accent? Because sometimes I barely do.
Surprisingly, yes. It didn't even flinch at my mumbled craftsman dialect. It's the logic behind it that's the real kicker, though. It understands the material properties. It's not just a voice trigger. It's an assistant that knows if you're about to melt a tool bit because you're being impatient.
Speaking of not melting things, we should talk about the trades path this week. The AWS, American Welding Society, is putting out some pretty heavy-duty research for the 2026 professional program.
Man, welding is one of those things where people think it's just a steady hand and a dark mask. But we're getting into the molecular weeds now. We're talking metallurgy and structural integrity at a level that's usually reserved for lab coats. If you're heading to FabTech this year, that's where the high-level secrets are hidden.
You always say that the difference between a glue stick welder and a pro is the education.
It really is. I've seen guys who can lay a bead that looks like a row of dimes, but they don't know why the metal is cracking 2 inches away from the weld. They don't understand the heat affected zone. That's what the AWS stuff is about, turning you into a specialist. There's a quiz in the latest Inspection Trends magazine that helps you figure out where you fit. Are you an underwater person, aerospace? Or maybe you're the one programming the robots that are going to replace our shaky hands?
Well, with the amount of coffee you drink, your hands haven't been steady since 2012. Maybe the robotic cell management path is more your speed.
You might be onto something. But seriously, for the younger folks listening, don't just learn to weld. Learn the science. That's where the keep your mortgage paid money lives.
Let's pivot to the maker-mogul side of things. This is the part that usually makes you groan, Tiger. Marketing.
Marketing. The necessary evil. I'd rather be cleaning out a grease trap, honestly. But the world has changed. You can't just hang a shingle out front and hope the neighbors notice you've got a lathe. 2026 is all about the brand genius approach.
I've been following Dakota Raylow on LinkedIn and Substack. She's brilliant at this. She isn't doing the corporate polished thing. She's just a person.
That's the ticket right there. I used to think I had to look like a Fortune 500 company to get high-end clients. I'd hide all the mistakes. If I messed up a dovetail, I'd bury it in the scrap bin and never speak of it again.
And now you're realizing that's exactly what people want to see?
Precisely. People don't want to buy a table from a machine. They want to buy it from a guy who struggled with a piece of walnut for 3 weeks. When you show the oops moments, the time the router bit slipped or the finish turned cloudy because you got impatient, you aren't showing weakness. You're showing that you're a real human. It builds a kind of trust that a glossy brochure just can't touch.
It's the sales funnel concept, but for makers. You get them in with the relatable YouTube shorts or the messy shop photos, and you lead them to the high-end custom work. You don't have to be Russell Brunson, but you should probably learn a thing or two from him.
Exactly. Authenticity is the only currency that isn't being devalued right now. If you're a maker, stop trying to be a brand and just start being a source.
All right, let's get into the DIY mastery stuff. We've got a deadline coming up. Mother's Day isn't that far off.
Don't remind me, I'm already behind. But look, if you're looking for a project that won't break the bank but will definitely earn you some favorite child points, get on the scroll saw.
A scroll saw project? That feels a bit elementary school for you, Tiger.
Don't knock the scroll saw. It's the ultimate test of finesse, making a delicate heart-shaped cutout with an intricate mom script inside. That takes a level of blade control that'll make a grown man sweat. It's not about the wood, it's about the patience. It's a great way to spend a Saturday morning, and it beats buying a generic card that's just going to end up in the recycling bin.
Fair enough. And I see you finally got that DeWalt DCF887N for the shop kit.
Oh man, that impact driver is the bread and butter of the workshop. There are flashier tools out there, but that little beast is the one I reach for when I just need something to work. It's got that perfect balance, enough torque to drive a 6-inch lag bolt, but enough control that you won't snap a brass screw if you're careful. If you're building a home kit, that's the Desert Island tool right there.
You're also doing that 5S organization thing again, aren't you? I saw the blue tape on the floor.
Stop judging me. I watched a video on shop efficiency, and it claimed an organized space saves 20% of your time. I spent 3 hours looking for my favorite 1/4-inch collet wrench last week. 3 hours! If I had a dedicated home for that wrench, I'd be 3 hours closer to a nap right now.
So, the goal for the weekend is build a heart for mom, don't strip any screws with the DeWalt, and finally find a home for your tools so you stop wandering around like a lost tourist in your own shop.
That's the dream, Alex. That is the dream.
So, what's the big takeaway for today? Between the AI talking back to us and the welding science, it's a lot to process.
I think it's this. The tools change, but the gritty part doesn't. Whether you're using an AI to draw your blueprints or a scroll saw to cut a gift for your mother, the magic happens in the gap between the idea and the object. Don't be afraid of the new tech. It's just a faster way to get to the part we love. But also, don't forget that at the end of the day, someone still has to pick up the hammer.
Well said. Just maybe put the hammer away in the right spot when you're done with it.
Careful, or I'll have the AI draft a very stern letter to you.
I'd like to see it try. Stay gritty, everyone.
And stay creative. We'll see you in the shop.